Welcome back to Lift Talk. This is episode 26, and I'm joined today by Yani Zhao. Yani, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're so welcome. We've been planning this one for months and months, and it hasn't happened due to my own laziness. But here we are. We're finally making it happen. And the reason I wanted to get you on, Yani, was because you have one of the most incredible, probably the most incredible life story of anyone that I know in the powerlifting world. And I want to tell everyone about your story because it's pretty fucking crazy.
Thank you.
So-
Let's talk about it.
I think we'll start off with the question that I ask everyone, which is,
Yep.
do you have a first memory of the physical culture space, and how did that develop into a love for training and lifting?
Well, my first experience in a gym, I was 12 years old, and my cousin invited me to go to the gym with her. Not to lift crazy weights or anything like that, just to do some yoga, some body pump, whatever group fitness classes the gym had. And then I realized I don't really like doing any of this cardio running around stuff. So then I just ventured off to the weights room and started lifting weights, and then realized I was stronger than some of the boys there. So then I continued lifting weights and researching on the internet on how to lift weights. This was before Instagram, so I'll check out YouTube. That was alive back then.
Which channels did you watch?
Back then, YouTube, bodybuilding.com.
Was that a YouTube channel?
Yeah, they had a YouTube channel with tutorials.
Oh, yeah.
And then that would also venture me into the MISC space of bodybuilding.com, meeting lots of fitness enthusiasts on the internet. And also there was another web page called simplyshredded.com.
Yep, I remember that one.
Where lots of different bodybuilders would share their training experience, what their training outlines and nutrition protocols were. And I would have that influence my lifting career.
It's funny that you mention those things because, like, back in those days, similar time to when I started getting into fitness, there wasn't, like, influencers. You almost had to, like, go searching for those people, and there was people on, like, Simply Shredded or bodybuilding.com who had, like, these prominent profiles, and they were kind of the influencers of the day. Do you remember any of the people back in those days that you looked up to and thought, like, this is really cool, I want to do this?
Oh, I mean, I grew up in Australia, so I have to say Ziz.
That's like at least the 10th Ziz reference so far in the podcast.
Yeah, he's influenced the whole entire generation.
He
And
actually
it's-
really has, unironically.
Yeah, it's pretty sad that he's not here to witness the influence that he has made. But I guess that's the same as a lot of very impactful people in this world.
I think the impact that he had probably wouldn't have been as great if he didn't die. Like, genuinely, I think it was like the legacy lived on because he wasn't able to continue it. And his brother tried to, and his brother's a fucking, he's a tool.
He tried.
He's still trying. He's still selling like Ziz merch and everything. Yeah, so you were 12, you got in the gym. How did that develop into like actually wanting to do powerlifting then? How old were you when you did your first comp?
I was 18 when I did my first comp. So in high school, final year of high school, I started doing some teenage CrossFit classes. And after high school, that's when I decided that I wanted to have a go at powerlifting, which was the lifting part of CrossFit minus the cardio. And one of my high school friends was attending Melbourne University at the time, which had a powerlifting club. So me and my friend, Andrew Seeley, we went to check out the powerlifting club. The coach there, he made us do some test lifts. And then 4 weeks later, we did our first powerlifting competition.
What were your numbers at your first comp?
Great question.
It's so funny that you don't know. I'll quickly look it up.
I know.
Oh, you wrote it
First
down?
comp. Yes, February 2014.
Yep.
140 squats, 77.5 bench, and 162.5 deadlift. So 380 total. 18 years old. And at that comp, I actually broke all the junior national records.
That's so crazy.
And it's funny because I walked into that comp 4 weeks into training and asked the referee, "Excuse me, which lift goes first?" And he thought I was taking the piss, but I genuinely had no idea. He's like, "Oh, the squat goes first." "Oh, thank you." And off I went, broke the national record squat, and yeah, continued squatting and lifting since.
And from that point on, you took off and you won 2 world championships in the IPF as junior, one of them as 84 lifter, one of them as an 84 plus lifter. Tell me about those experiences. What were the kind of most memorable moments of going to Worlds and competing at Worlds?
The most memorable was pulling for the win 2015 in Finland. So 2 weeks before the comp, I actually injured my back a little bit in training. And I remember I was, seeing the physio, trying to aggressively rehab my back before the competition in 2 weeks. But I've done so much training, I wasn't ready to pull out of the comp. So on competition day, just took a whole heap of Voltaren and a whole heap of deep heat, pretty much a whole entire bottle of deep heat on my back. So I couldn't feel anything other than just a burning sensation.
That sounds like what you did for the last comp a few weeks ago.
I know. Yeah, that's why I actually
Some things
smiled.
never change.
Yeah. It's okay to, tweak your back a little bit as long as you pull your shit together on the platform. And
So what number did you pull for the win?
so the opener was 160.
Yep.
And it was very difficult. And at the time, after my opener, I think I was, close to the bottom ranking position. I just skipped my second attempt because my back was actually in pain, and everyone else just thought I was out of the competition. So they went on to do their conservative second attempts. And then my coach, he put in an attempt that would give me the win for my third attempt.
What number was it?
At the time, it was 182.5.
Right.
So I jumped from 160 to skipping second to 182.5.
Yeah.
And then I pulled for the win.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's so good that it shows that this is something that a lot of people can definitely relate to. Like when you have a little ache or a pain, sometimes you can just put it to the side and do something actually crazy and unbelievable. How much of a PB was that at the time?
I actually can't remember.
That sounds about right for you.
It was a long time ago. I don't know. Maybe if I check that website, it'll tell me what my lifting results
I'll check
are.
after. I'll check after for you so you can remember. So obviously a couple years, 1.5 years into powerlifting and you're winning worlds. So it was looking like you were going to go on and be one of the best lifters in Australia, one of the best lifters we've ever had in Australia. And then your life changed forever in 2017, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
So tell me what happened in your prep for nationals in 2017 and then what the outcome for that was.
That was a really difficult prep. And I just thought that training was really, really intense. I was feeling exhausted every single day. I was studying to be a health and physical education teacher at the time. And we had a prac at uni where we had to do some basketball drills. After a minute or two, I literally had to sit down. And as a powerlifter, I thought, I really need to do some more cardio about this. But in the past, I could at least, run for at least 5 minutes. But 1 or 2 had raised some question marks. And on the day of competition, this was at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, I was walking up the car park stairs, 10 steps, and I was just out of breath, which was another alarm that, I think I need to do my cardio. And on the day of the competition, I had extremely swollen lymph nodes and a throbbing headache, which no painkiller would help. And the physio on site at the time, that was Pei from PB Physio, I went up to her. This is the first time I ever met Pei. I'm like, Pei, I have these swollen lymph nodes and they won't go down. You're a physio. Can you make them go away? So then I could lift and do my comp. She examined me and said, Yani, this is not normal. Go see a doctor, bro.
And so you kind of at that time thought like, hey, I'm just going through prep. I've got some aches and pains. I'm unfit because I'm a powerlifter. And did you ever think that it could have been something else, or you just thought, hey, this is just what happens in powerlifting preps?
No, because generally towards the end of a powerlifting prep, you do feel really exhausted just from all the heavy training that you're doing. And at the time, it was also towards the end of a university semester, lots of assignments, assessments, late nights, finishing all the assessments last minute. uh, yeah, just I thought it was a lack of sleep and intense training. Never in a million years would think it would be something a little bit more serious.
So did you go on to compete anyway, even with the swollen lymph nodes and everything? Did you do the competition?
Yeah, I did. I won that national championship. I think I broke the Australian national deadlift record
Yep.
that day. But after the comp, I was literally just lying on the floor in the warm-up room until the banquet where, I had some drinks, which gave me some more energy.
And so I'm assuming the comp was on a weekend, and then when did you actually go to the doctor?
The next day. So the next day, Bethany Parker, her mum, she messaged me and reminded me to go see the doctor. I'm like, oh, yeah. Then I took Beth to the airport that morning, and then after I went to the airport, I went to the doctor. The doctor, she examined me and also couldn't tell what was wrong at the time, but she ordered some blood tests. And after that, they sent my bloods to the lab. And a few hours later, I got a phone call. Yani, something's not normal. You need to go to the emergency. I'm like,
And
well, what do you mean I need to go to the emergency? I have work right now. I have a shift at the gym. I need to go train clients. And she said, no, this is a real emergency. You need to go to the emergency right now, the hospital. So then I was like, oh, all right. And then I was working at a swimming pool where they have duty managers. So I didn't actually know who the manager of the gym was at the time, but I called her and said, I think I need to call in sick for today. And the manager was really confused because I didn't sound sick and I didn't know how to call in sick. But then I just said, oh, yeah, I can't come in. Can you please help me find someone to cover my shift? And he said, okay. And I discharged myself to go to the Box Hill Hospital emergency. They had a look at my blood reports. The doctors there were very confused as well. But they ordered more blood tests. It was a few hours in the emergency. And then also had a bone marrow biopsy. So this is when you curl up into a little fetal position, and then the doctors shove this massive needle into your back to draw out some of your bone, and then they do an examination of your bone marrow to see what's happening in there. They got the results, but the doctors couldn't believe it either because I'm young. I was 21 years old at the time, just won the national championships, one of the strongest females in Australia. But then these test results, they were saying, looks like you have cancer.
so you did. This is why I love you so much, Yani, because like through all of this, the positivity and like you can't wipe a smile off your face no matter what the circumstances are. Like I think that's one of the things that makes you such a pleasure to be around all the time. So what was the actual diagnosis then?
Acute myeloid leukemia.
Which means what for the layman, aka me, who doesn't know what that means?
Blood cancer.
Okay.
Your blood is infected with cancer.
So
your blood is not normal.
So how did you then treat that?
2 rounds of chemotherapy. So chemotherapy is a very, very strong chemical. It will kill the cancer, but it will also literally kill your whole entire body and all the systems. Yeah.
So how was that experience?
Oh, well, it's sort of something that I don't really think about that much until I reflect back. From the physical end, you just see me with, losing my hair, having pale skin because I don't have any more red blood cells or platelets left. But whilst I'm living in the hospital, because I have no red blood cells, I don't have any energy, just constant fatigue. I would constantly have bleeds. There was this one time I had a nosebleed for so long. because I had no platelets until I got a platelet infusion that the nosebleed finally stopped. You have crazy diarrhea, which can cause hemorrhoids. And the hemorrhoids are really painful, but then you keep having diarrhea. And then you can't even use toilet paper because it hurts to use toilet paper. So you sort of have to, do your business and then rinse yourself off. You have extreme stomach aches. There was one stomach ache that was so bad that I was just on the floor, curled up in a fetal position, sweating in pain until I threw up from pain, and then had to wait for the doctors and nurses to give me some, the hospital grade morphine, which helped ease the pain a little bit. But then that morphine also makes you feel nauseous as well. So it helps and it doesn't help. You have crazy ulcers in your mouth. So it hurts to eat, but you have to eat because if you don't eat, you also die.
Eating is important.
Yeah. Oh, but actually, one of the great things about being in hospital is that you have unlimited Big M's. So I drank lots of Big M's in hospital. That was probably the highlight of hospital.
There's no highlights of hospital. So how long were you in the hospital for? What was the length of the chemo rounds?
I was in hospital from about October until I think January, February-ish the following year. So it was basically my whole entire university summer break, and then I just went back to uni with no hair the following semester.
That's so crazy. So during the treatment period, did you reflect on where training fit into your life, or were you not worried about training at all at that point?
It was actually the perfect time to get cancer because at the same time, that was when Powerlifting Australia was kicked out of the IPF and the whole entire Oceania region was kicked out of the IPF. So everyone who was powerlifting was sort of in limbo
A bit lost, yeah.
Yeah, about what's happening with powerlifting. And I'm just like, oh, hello, I'm in hospital having cancer. This is the same as not powerlifting.
So, you're someone who's quite all in with things. When you put your mind to something, you go and do it. And, that's been true in your powerlifting and then in bodybuilding, which we'll talk about soon. Obviously, getting this diagnosis and spending that time in the hospital was like the opposite of being all in on training. How did that change your relationship with training once you were able to get back to it?
I would say that if you want to be a champion at anything, a part of you needs to obsess about the outcome of being a champion or whatever else it is that you're working towards. At the time before I was in hospital, I had a strong obsession for being a powerlifting world champion. Whilst I was in hospital, I had a strong obsession of just recovering and
staying alive.
Staying alive.
Yep.
That was a good priority at the time. And after I was discharged from hospital, my main priority in life just shifted to be able to walk down an aisle without losing breath. Just gaining general health and fitness back again. And powerlifting was always in the background for me, but just being able to live and breathe, it's a little bit different.
So obviously that was, 7 years ago now. And you've kind of now just ventured back into, trying to be the best powerlifter that you can. Just recently, back in the IPF Federation, got a couple of comps lined up for end of this year and the next year. How did that come about?
I feel like a lot has happened in the past 7 years. So straight out of hospital, I was just trying to regain my general health and fitness. And I always had a powerlifting goal in mind because the great thing about powerlifting is that you can measure how strong or weak that you are. My best squat at the time was 202.5. So I just wanted to beat that squat again. It took me 4 years, but I got there. Yeah, and that was under the guidance of Will Berkman.
Yes.
He's no longer coaching anymore. But yeah, as long as you're patient and persistent, as long as you don't give up, one day you'll eventually get to where you're trying to be.
Even if you get cancer.
Even if you get cancer, it's just a little roadblock and don't worry about
Just
it.
a little roadblock.
Yeah.
It's funny that there's a lot of powerlifters listening to this who will have like a small setback, like maybe a little pec strain or a hamstring strain or a little shoulder injury or something. And that will almost like force them to spiral and quit the sport, where there's people like you who like literally you were almost on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And as long as you persist and stick with it, like you're going to succeed and you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. I think that's really cool.
I feel like one of the silver linings of having cancer is just mindset and resilience, and just understanding that sometimes in life shit happens. For example, when I went into hospital and I asked the doctor, I'm so young, why do I have cancer? He just said, you're a bit unlucky here. Bad luck.
Bad luck.
Yeah. And that's life.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life you just have bad luck. Shit happens. You can be a sad little I shouldn't swear. You can be sad and keep crying. Or you can swear. You can swear. Oh, okay. You can be a sad cunt and do nothing about your life. Or you can be a sick cunt and stand back up and keep going.
Everyone knew that was
That
coming.
was inspired by Ziz.
So it took you to get cancer to really understand Ziz's message.
Yeah, that's so deep. He died for us. And so I had cancer and had to relearn his message.
That's hilarious. So after you got out of hospital, how long was it until your next competition, and how'd you go?
I was discharged from hospital January, February, and then that year I competed in August.
And you won nationals, didn't you?
I won the junior nationals that year.
So crazy.
But it wasn't my best total. However, it was enough to win junior nationals at the time. 150 squat, 97.5 bench, 150 deadlift. So just a baby 397.5 total.
I do remember that comp. You only did one deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I was there, and yeah, it was so cool to see you back on the platform after that. Everyone was like so stoked. And all your lifts were really easy as well. You had heaps more than that on the day.
Yeah, it was strategic because
Just
2 weeks later I went to China to compete at the Shanghai Fitness Expo.
And did much better?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, totaled much more at the Shanghai Fitness Expo.
So COVID happened, and I think that kind of made it hard for a lot of people to powerlift. So you kind of went into bodybuilding.
That's right.
So talk to me about the decision-making process to end up in bodybuilding space, especially from someone who loves to eat, particularly ice cream, which we'll get to later.
Yes.
Why did you decide to essentially, voluntarily starve yourself for a different goal? What led to that?
Honestly, I was so naive and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But because I started on that journey, I had to keep going. I couldn't quit or give up. I had to at least get a six-pack once in my life. But before I even knew what powerlifting was, I knew what bodybuilding was. There were female bodybuilders I followed in high school. Erin Stern, Nicole Wilkins, they were IFBB figure pros back in the day. And I've always been intrigued by, their training, nutrition, mindset. So it's always been something in the back of my mind that I had a strong interest in. And after I broke the 203 kg national record and personal best squat 4 years after cancer, that's also when my powerlifting coach at the time, Will Berkman, left powerlifting coaching. So then I had to, reevaluate what I was going to do with my life. And I decided I'll give bodybuilding a go without actually knowing what it takes to be a bodybuilder. Oh my God, it is literally just controlled starvation of your life.
It really is. It sounds awful, to be honest. When I hear what people go through, I'm definitely not game for it. I want to hear about your experiences though. What did it actually take? Like, what were the How low did your calories get? How much cardio were you doing? Like, what was the training like?
Um, Towards the end, leading into competitions, I had calories under 1200, and I would get up in the morning, do an hour of cardio. I'll do weight training in the afternoon for 60 to 90 minutes, and then in the evening before I went to bed after dinner, I'll do another 30 to 60 minutes of cardio again,
That sounds awful.
all whilst having minimal food.
And was that the hardest sort of couple months of your life?
Yeah, 100%. Bodybuilding is harder than cancer. 'Cause the difference is, with cancer, that wasn't a choice. It's just, I just had to deal with it. With bodybuilding, I chose to kill myself. Controlled killing of yourself,
Yeah.
but not actually dying, but dying.
Yeah, in the cancer scenario, you know, you're in the hospital and it's like
Yeah.
everything for survival. Whereas in the bodybuilding scenario, it's like I've told myself I can't have ice cream and I have to eat these calories, but there's also just ice cream across the road. I could just go and get it. And it's like, it's a very big difference between those two things.
That's right. And the thing is, when you have cancer, people are so nice to you. You're like, oh, you poor thing, you have cancer, let me do things for you. When you have no one gives if you have a bodybuilding competition coming up, you still have bills to pay. People still have expectations of you. And there you are, controlled killing yourself and still trying to be nice to people. Yeah. But I would say it was a really good learning experience. It taught me a lot about discipline. And I feel like I did a few bodybuilding shows. The first show mentally was the toughest because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't realize that I would have to dedicate my whole life to bodybuilding. So the training is the easy part. Nutrition and lifestyle is the difficult part because you can't have a social life anymore when you're bodybuilding. You can go out to social events, but you have to bring your own Tupperware. You can't drink, you can't party. You have to go to bed at the same time every day. You get up at the same time every day. You just don't have a social life.
So what did you actually achieve in your brief bodybuilding career? Did you win any titles?
Yeah, my first comp, I won the ICN novice champion, and then towards the end of the year, I entered another ICN, which is I Compete Natural competition. And 2 weeks later, there was actually an IFBB competition, which I wasn't planning to do. But because I was already lean, I just decided I'll continue dieting for another 2 weeks and ended up winning the IFBB national title. Yeah.
Pretty incredible, to be honest. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
That's unreal. Would you ever get back on the stage again? Would you ever do it again?
Never say never. The thing with bodybuilding is that you need to pick a period of time in your life which you can solely dedicate to bodybuilding. If you want to do other things in your life at that time, such as have a social life, then you can't do bodybuilding. So right now would not be the best time for bodybuilding, but maybe one time again in the future. Right now I feel like I still have some unfinished business with powerlifting. Yeah.
We'll talk about that very shortly. Did you learn anything from bodybuilding that you can take into powerlifting? Like, is there anything that you learned that will actually help you moving forward with lifting?
Just mindset and nutrition and sleep. That's a few things actually.
Yeah, go into the specifics of the three.
So with mindset, it's really important that each time you do something difficult, you remind yourself of the purpose of that difficult task. For example, each time when I'm eating chicken or broccoli at a friend's party, I remind myself that this meal is going to bring me closer to having a six-pack on stage. If you're powerlifting, each time you need to stay back and do your accessories, then you remind yourself this is going to get me closer to having a bigger total. What else did I learn from bodybuilding?
Nutrition, sleep.
Oh yeah, nutrition. That's a huge one. I never used to eat much vegetables, and vegetables have a lot of micronutrients.
They sure do.
Yeah, they do.
What a crazy realization that was.
Which actually helps with your overall health. And touch wood, but I actually don't get sick very often nowadays, and I feel like it's because I eat so much vegetables. I eat protein with every single meal to make sure that my body's always recovering and building as much or retaining as much muscle as possible, depending on what sort of phase I'm in. I time when I have carbohydrates as well, making sure that I have enough carbohydrates before training to fuel my training, and so I can train at optimal levels.
So were those things that you didn't used to do before bodybuilding, and you
Oh,
kind of learned during bodybuilding times?
yeah. When I first started powerlifting, I had no clue about nutrition. Just pizza and ice cream. Sometimes pizza in, in between deadlift sets. Back at Melbourne Uni, we would literally order pizza and get it delivered to the gym and eat it there. We just thought that was normal until I learnt more about nutrition. It was like, oh, it makes sense why I always felt sick in the middle of deadlifts
So
or
when
nauseous.
so when you did your bodybuilding prep, did you follow like a meal plan? Is that what it was?
With my first coach, I had macronutrient targets. And then with my second coach, it was a meal plan. But I actually feel like for bodybuilding, having a meal plan is just so much easier. For lifestyle, I would recommend macronutrients.
Yeah.
Or for powerlifters, probably
Well,
macronutrients.
I was gonna say I was curious if you like kind of adapted that meal plan to now, where you're like, because you mentioned before you're spacing out your protein, having your carbs before training, those kind of things you learned from bodybuilding.
Yeah, in a sense. I find that when I was bodybuilding, I was meal prepping a lot. And now, just for powerlifting and everyday life, it actually makes your life easier if you just plan your meals and
Yeah,
just eat
knowing where your
it.
next meal is coming from is pretty important, isn't it, Chris? Um, all right, so moving forward, back to powerlifting. What kind of sparked you mentioned you have some unfinished business. What does that mean for you?
It means that the last time I was at the international world stage was the year I had cancer. Well, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was at Belarus Worlds 2017, where I competed as an open as a junior lifter. I placed fourth at that competition, just missing out on a overall medal. And after having cancer and a little bit of recovery, this that, it's time to go back onto the platform and reclaim some PBs, which I've held idle for a few years.
So you've just competed 4 weeks ago at the comp we had here.
Yes, that's right.
Tell everyone how it went.
It went fantastic. I found myself my probably 10th coach of the past 10 years, Alex Hayes. He's, yeah, he's really regrown my passion for powerlifting. And now I have this fire to be the strongest powerlifter I can be. At the last comp, I squatted 205, benched 117, deadlifted 212, I think.
That's correct.
I think you
Those
coach.
are all correct. Yep.
The lifting part is okay, not too hard. It was just get the body weight cut to 84s, which was a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. So you started when you started with me, you're about 93 kilos or so,
Yeah,
and we
something like
had
that.
about 15 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I kept telling you, I want you to get most of this weight off at the start. And you're like, yeah, all right. And then you kind of delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. And, you were still 90, like 7 weeks out. So it was a bit of a rush at the end. But I think now that your body weight is a little bit closer to 84,
Yeah.
hopefully it stays that way, Yanni. This next comp will be even better.
I hope so. Yeah, it'll be hopefully less dieting and just more lifting. We're hoping for some big PBs, and it's also a very exciting competition because the last comp I did, the day that I or the day before I got diagnosed with cancer, was with Bethany Parker. We shared the platform together, and we'll be sharing the platform together again 7 years later. Yeah, huge
Yeah,
reunion.
super exciting because you guys have been friends for such a long time. Like I met you both in Uzbekistan in
Yeah.
2015. You guys
Yeah.
both competed there. I competed there. You guys became really close after that, and you'd go to raves
That's
together and eat ice cream
right.
together and
I
train together
know.
and stuff. And like travel, you would travel to Sydney to see Beth and hang out, and she would travel to Melbourne to see you and hang out. It's so cool seeing you guys go up against each other again. And yeah, just
Yeah,
more than
she's
like the lifting and the PBs, it's like the people that you meet along the way and like sharing the experiences together.
100%. And the day that was told that I had cancer, I told Beth, and I drove her to the airport the day before, and she flew to Sydney. And then the day after, she jumped in her car and she drove back down to Melbourne to, give a friend some support, which is absolutely beautiful. That was very, very kind of
Yeah,
her.
it's a really nice friendship.
Yeah.
So the last comp we just did, those were PBs all at 84 kilos.
Yes.
What are the next goals you've got then?
That's a great question. Just lift more than that. Because earlier this year I did total 560 as a super heavyweight. So first I want to total 560 as an 84. And eventually, one day, I do also plan on deadlifting 250 kilos plus, because I wrote in I totally forgot about this until I went back home to Melbourne and read my year 12 yearbook. And in my year 12 yearbook, I wrote down that I was going to deadlift 250 kilos in 10 years. It's past 10 years now, but I'll give myself an extra couple years leeway because, cancer and COVID, blah, blah, blah.
That seems fair.
Yeah, so eventually the plan is to deadlift 250 plus as well and bring everything together at a global platform.
Let's see what we can do, hey?
No pressure, coach.
No pressure. The pressure's on you, not me.
That's all right. I'll just do what you tell me to do. You just help me get there, please.
I'll do my best.
Teamwork.
Okay, last thing for the episode today. I want you to give everyone your top 5 ice creams.
Okay. If
This
you're
is the most thought you've given any of the questions so far.
No, I have given a lot of thought to ice cream. Yes, I have. No, also, okay, let's start with the ice cream first. So number 1, Viverino in Sydney.
Yep.
You have locations in Surrey Hills, Potts Point, Barangaroo, Parramatta, and also in Italy as well. I went to the store in Florence, and it tastes identical to the stores in Sydney. It's just beautiful, fluffy gelato, authentic Italian gelato.
You should be an ice cream salesman.
That's my dream job. Number 2, if you're Australia based, is Messina. It's gelato with a bit of an Aussie twist. They also always have, fun weekly specials. Number 3, Ice Kieran. So that's an Asian inspired gelato store. They have some fantastic matcha flavors and other Asian inspired flavors there.
I hate matcha.
Well, they have other fantastic flavors there as well.
Carry on.
You get some black sesame. Number 4, Cow and the Moon. So that's just in Enmore. They have a fantastic vanilla gelato, which I don't really get vanilla that often, but I don't know what vanilla bean they use. It just tastes very amazing. And number 5, Hakiki, which is a Turkish gelato place in Sydney. They make this beautiful stretchy gelato, great texture, and you can also get pistachio toppings as well.
There
So
you go.
that's probably what I gave the most thought into for this podcast today. But I did want to also just leave a message out to all the listeners out there that sometimes in life shit happens. Life will throw you curveballs. Sometimes you might get cancer. And it doesn't matter what adversity you're facing in life, each individual will be facing something different. Maybe it's your physical health, mental health, financial, relationships. Shit happens. Don't let it define you. You can temporarily be a weak cunt, but don't be a weak cunt forever because you don't want to be a loser for the rest of your life. You need to step back up and you need to reach your goals and all your untapped potential. Be a sick cunt.
I think we'll leave it there. That's a great way to finish the podcast. Thank you, Yani. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to everyone next week.
Thank you. Thanks for joining in, guys.